So, of course, we're still coming off a high from yesterday's game against the Golden State Warriors, where Jimmy Butler came back into town and bang, bang, bang. That boy got his ass kicked by the Miami Heat in a day that Twitter is now dubbing National Show Them Who's Boss Day. So, shout out to all of those who celebrate Show Them Who's Boss Day, which is a bit funny to say. I know we're all kind of joking about it because in the grand scheme of things, while yes, yesterday was absolutely amazing. It was everything that I could have wanted from that game. And of course, I was there. I have a whole reaction to it. That was my video from yesterday. So make sure y'all go check it out and subscribe while you're at it. Shameless plug. But as fun as that was, to put everything into perspective, I still don't think the Miami Heat are in a great spot. And a lot of that is because of Pat Riley and the rest of the front office. You know, for the rest of this video, whenever we say Pat Riley, we're not just talking about him necessarily. We're talking about Adam Simon, Mickey Arison, Nick Arison, even Eric Spoelstra to a certain extent, because I do want to acknowledge that all of this talk that's been going on online about Pat Riley, it's not just him, per se. It's not just his voice. There is a lot of voices in the front office when it comes to the decision-making. So I want to clarify it's all of the front office. That being said, although it is multiple different people making decisions, it is a bit of a hive mindset in which they all think the same way, which I guess I can best describe as they're being controlled by heat culture brain rot, or there's a heat culture robot that's just pulling the strings in all their minds because they all seem to think the same way. And of course, just yesterday with Jimmy Butler's return and how things were ugly there, things were frosty after the game with Jimmy's sorry-ass boys, Ernie and whatever the hell the other kid's name is, calling out the Miami Heat for a short-ass tribute video, which it was, but, like, at least they give something. Like, you still got to acknowledge that Jimmy Butler played a role in how ugly things ended. But, of course, even outside of that, things have ended badly with almost every star that's been with the Heat. We've talked about it. Shaq left on ugly terms. Zoe, Wade, Bosh, LeBron. Of course, a lot of those were for different reasons. Some of them are excusable, like the injuries of Zoe and Chris Bosh in particular. But there is some other coincidences in which stars just did not like the way Pat Riley ran things here, that heat culture mindset, and it kind of ran them out of town. And that seems to maybe be the same reason why Jimmy Butler's not here. And of course, that's why we're talking about this. With Jimmy's here yesterday, everybody's now talking about Pat Riley, including LeBron James, who, of all people, who we really don't hear much from, especially not since his Mind the Game podcast ended with JJ Redick, which that news just broke yesterday, actually. Apparently, LeBron is bringing back that podcast, but except instead of JJ Redick, who's now, of course, his coach, he's bringing in Steve Nash. So that actually sounds exciting because I did love that podcast, and now he's going to be doing it with Steve Nash. Hey, man, JJ, you better watch your back. That coaching job, Nash may be coming for you. But anyways, you don't hear from LeBron much outside of that podcast until today, where he did like an hour interview on the Pat McAfee show, completely unfiltered, where he said a ton of things. And a lot of it was Miami Heat related, which is what I want to get into in this video because, like I said, he spoke for an hour and it was great. I highly recommend y'all check it out. I mean, he talked about the lottery being rigged, which I can't believe. LeBron's got a lot of power, but Adam Silver is not going to like to hear that from LeBron, but LeBron's got a good point. And this is something I've been thinking about for a while. I mean, you talk about LeBron went to go to Chicago. Or went to go to Cleveland, his home city. Derrick Rose went to go to Chicago, his home city. You got the Knicks, where the Knicks were terrible, but they're the NBA's biggest market. You got one of the biggest names at the time, Patrick Ewing, coming out of the draft, out of Georgetown. Yeah, let's make sure the Knicks win the lottery now. And just all kinds of things. The Spurs. Oh, Tony Parker, the greatest French player of all time, played for the Spurs. The Spurs, they're kind of in a down era now. Let's go bring in Victor Wembanyama because we already know there's a whole country supporting that Spurs team that we can kind of rejuvenate. So there's a lot of great points with the lottery potentially being rigged, but do it in the Heat's favor this time, man. Y'all robbed us of D Rose back in 2008. Redeem us by getting us Cooper Flag this year. Is that too much to ask for? But anyways, LeBron talked about that. He talked about Stephen A. Smith, who I just think is an overall bum. His show sucks, although he is entertaining. At times, his show is terrible. But anyways, as far as the Heat stuff, LeBron James did address Pat Riley. So what I want to do here is I want to play these clips and at least a portion of these clips, and then we'll kind of react to them. Because like I said, I thought they were very interesting. And in this first clips, LeBron James was addressing the chocolate chip cookie story, which has been talked about a lot, but it was kind of repopularized when Dwayne Wade told the story on a podcast a couple weeks ago. And this is what LeBron had to say.
And I would get on, and they already knew. They'd bring me 2 cookies, and I'll get the gambling with the guys, and I got my cookies, and we good. And then one flight I got on, I looked at them, and they looked at me, and I'm like, oh, that look didn't look familiar. And I asked him, I was like, he was like, no, we're not allowed to, no more cookies on these flights.
What?
And we all know where it came from. I looked at D-Wade. D-Wade looked at me. He was like, basically, without even saying, he was like, fucking Rouse done it again. Rouse strikes again. I was like, damn.
So very clearly, for D-Wade and LeBron to look at each other at the end and immediately know this was the results of Pat Riley and his ways, I guess you could say, his dictatorship ways, his heat culture, overlord ways, however you want to say it, for them to know something as small and minor as removing chocolate chip cookies had to have been Pat Riley. What else do you think Pat Riley was doing behind the scenes that he didn't allow these guys to do, which to a certain extent has to be very annoying? Because you could look at this clip and say, oh, okay, it's just chocolate chip cookies. What's the big deal? But I'm sure that's the smallest of it. And even if it was stuff that's small, it keeps stacking up and adding up and adding up and adding up. These are not college players. They're grown men. They're grown men who have achieved such a level of success in this league. Like, without your help, they become the elites of the elites, all-stars. Now, in LeBron's case, he wasn't a champion before coming here, but he still obviously achieved great things. He was a great player. He doesn't need you to say, hey, take away my chocolate chip cookies and that's going to help me win a championship. There's ways to make sure that your guys are in the best shape possible and fully focused. And then there's completely crossing the line and going overboard and doing something as petty as taking away LeBron's cookies. That's just ridiculous. And even though it seems minor, why even put that building block there of things that could eventually boil over to a point where LeBron is so annoyed with the organization he wants to leave? That's why for Pat Riley to even consider doing something like this, or let alone he actually did it, that's ridiculous. You should probably be waiting hand and foot on a guy like LeBron James, who is in his prime, greatest player of all time. You should be giving him whatever he wants. We know Pat Riley didn't want to let LeBron's boys and Maverick Carter and all them ride the team plane to travel with LeBron. Why? Do it. What negative, what could possibly come as a result of that that's negative or harmful to your organization of letting LeBron's friends travel with him? They didn't do that. They take away his cookies. And I think it just got to a certain point where LeBron's like, hey, why would I stay and deal with this if I could go back home to Cleveland, win a championship for there, be the guy, not have to deal with Pat Riley and his ego? And that's why LeBron left. And as an owner or as a GM and president, which Pat Riley is, that is a ridiculous way to run an organization. It really is. To let your ego get so big that it drives the best player of all time out of town. You got him in your city. 29 organizations would kill to have him under their watch. And you let him go? You took away his cookies? What are we doing here? Oh, I just think that's a ridiculous thing for Pat Riley to do. But let's go on to this next quote where LeBron kind of talks about how much Pat Riley values that heat culture.
One thing about Rouse, he don't give a fuck about nothing. Listen, if it ain't about that heat shield and covering that heat culture, we see what's going on now. Well, not anymore, but we see Jimmy and, it was at one point where even I left and it was time for D-Wade to get paid and he didn't want to pay D-Wade and D-Wade left. I was like, when that happened, I was like, when Wade County had to leave and go to Chicago, I looked at the cookie situation. I was like, oh shit, maybe it wasn't that bad.
He lost cookies.
Yeah, I was like, okay, fuck it. D-Wade's millions and my cookies, I was like, okay, maybe I made it out safe. I was like, okay, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, for LeBron to even bring up the Jimmy situation there is him saying that essentially the same things that are annoying Jimmy and drove him out of town is the same exact things that he went through and D-Wade went through. And to my previous point, it's just ridiculous. Jimmy had a quote like a couple days ago where he said heat culture is kind of overrated. The most important thing is kind of getting talent in your organization. And I agree with that because look where the Heat have been the last couple of years. You got far because of Jimmy Butler. Yes, you had a bunch of hardworking heat culture role players, Gabe Vincent, Caleb Marr, Max Strus, and all these guys. And they can outperform themselves to make an NBA Finals, but only for so long. And eventually that luck or whatever is going to run out because they're not as talented as the other teams they're going against. They got dominated by the Denver Nuggets because they were simply out-talented. And while I understand Pat Riley's logic and I understand the importance of getting hardworking guys with a winning mindset, what is stupid to me is prioritizing that over bringing in guys with actual talent. And that is an asinine way to run an organization. You had Jimmy Butler here for 5 seasons, and all you did is surround him with heat culture guys. That's why Jimmy Butler was perfect. He was a quote-unquote heat culture guy, and he had talent. Okay, you got that. You got your pillar. You got Bam Adebayo. He also is the next heat culture carrier, as everyone is saying. You have that. Now go get some actual talent around them. Go trade Tyler Hero and all these young guys to get Damian Lillard in the organization because he's talented. Oh, but he doesn't play defense. He's not heat culture. So, you were an 8 seed last year. You were an 8 seed the year before, and you did nothing to make the team better. Because of your ego and because, they're not heat culture guys. Oh, the Heat suck at offense. Trae Young's available. Maybe let's go bring in Trae Young. Oh, but the Heat are never going to do that because he's not heat culture. He has led in a top 10 offense almost every single year of his career. He would be perfect here. But no, he's not heat culture. And I'm not saying bringing a bunch of guys who can score and can't play defense. You have to find a good balance of both. But what you can't do is lean into only guys that are heat culture and toughness, because if you do, you end up with a lineup of Davion Mitchell, Haywood Highsmith, Bam Adebayo, and Jaime Jaquez, and you're scoring 80 points a night. You got to bring in some real talent. And I don't like the way that that the organization's been run by Pat Riley and the rest of the front office during Jimmy's era. That's why you got a guy like Bobby Marks. There was a quote by him that was going around today where he said he was embarrassed by Heat fans because they cheered Jimmy during the standing ovation, which I do like Bobby Marks for the most part. I think he puts out some good content, but that's just a ridiculous take by him. And I know my light is flashing back here. I haven't had a chance to charge. It means it's dying on me. But anyways, I don't think Bobby Marks has actually a great idea of what it was like to be a Heat fan during these last 5 seasons. Because yes, we've said it a million times. Jimmy Butler left. He disrespected everyone on the way out. Fine. But that doesn't mean that we can't show appreciation for 30 seconds for everything that he brought to this organization. Because as soon as he left, we see right where we are now. Lost 10 games in a row before losing the last 2. Don't have a lot of hope going forward. Why? Because you got guys in the front office that keep prioritizing this heat culture, which it's lost so much of its meaning. They're monetizing it now. They're putting it on the court. They're putting it on shirts, and that's all it is now. It's a brand with absolutely nothing behind it. It really is. That used to mean something back in the day, man, when you had a guy like Zoe and PJ Brown. A little bit later, Udonis Haslem. That used to mean something. It don't mean nothing no more. They go out there, they put it on the court, they put it on the jerseys, and they out there losing 50 games a season. Now, they're going to be close to losing 50 games this season. They're going to be close to, they're going to get blown out, waxed by the Charlotte Hornets, like blowing leads to the Hornets, losing to the Wizards, losing whoever the hell they losing to. That's not heat culture. Getting dominated in the fourth quarter, that's not heat culture. Getting out rebounded game after game after game after game is not heat culture. Not boxing out. This is stuff they've been doing all year, and the heat culture just means nothing anymore. So how about you go get some talent? That's all I want to say. So when Bobby Marks is out there saying, oh, well, why are we giving Jimmy Butler praise? Well, maybe it's because we don't put all the blame on Jimmy. Maybe it's because we put a lot of blame on the front office as well for the way that they've handled things over the last 5 seasons. That doesn't mean I'm booing the team when they're out there. No, I'm still rooting for the Heat because I'm a Heat fan. I'm still cheering for Jimmy Butler to show appreciation because I am a Jimmy Butler fan. That's why we're showing him appreciation. Now, of course, I am a Heat fan first. I'm a bigger Heat fan than I am a Jimmy Butler fan. That is why I'm rooting for them over Jimmy Butler. But I'm not out there booing them because Jimmy Butler's done, or because Pat Riley's done some bad things for the organization. Pat Riley has done a lot for this organization. And a lot of the pushback that you get from all these Pat Riley fans out there is they're like, oh, well, how are you gonna get mad that the Heat didn't win a championship when Pat Riley is the one who put these standards here? Your standards would be much lower if Pat Riley never came here in the first place. Okay, exactly. We agree. You can't say, oh, Pat Riley said winning in misery, so you don't get to be miserable when you lose. What? Where's the logic there? Yes, Pat Riley came here. He put this team on the map. He said winning in misery, and I agree with that. And if those are the standards that he's going to set, then those are the standards I'm going to live to. So if he was to ask me, what do you think of the Jimmy Butler era? What do you think of the job I did building contender these last 5 years? I would say you're a failure because you didn't win no championship. I don't see no more rings on Eric Spoelstra's finger. I don't. So that's winning in misery. And while the Heat have been to 2 NBA finals, which is more than most in the league could dream of doing one day, I don't care because our relative success compared to other incompetent franchises is irrelevant to me. I hold myself to Heat standards, the standards that he set in place. And if the Heat front office and Pat Riley fails to achieve that, then they got to do a better job. That's just where I'm at right now. And then hearing LeBron come out today and just reiterate all these things that we've heard about Pat Riley in the past is frustrating. It really is. Because it makes you wonder if things could have been different if the ego of that front office just wasn't so damn high. But that's really all I got to say for this video. So let me know y'all thoughts down below. Maybe let me know what percentage of the front office do you blame for how everything ended in the Jimmy Butler era. I'm very curious to hear what y'all think. That being said, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out, everyone.
Look, pull up in your city, tryna get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need that head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.